Good evening, salutations, my GH fans. So let's start off with Esme and Spencer. So Spencer enacts his plan. He tells the truth. He's like, I never really believed that Trina did it pretty much, and you were all super excited. He pretty much just kind of comes clean about his intentions with her. And at this point, I'm thinking that this plan is about to crash and burn. Now, to some extent, it it didn't crash the way I expected it to, because you know she seems like she wants to know, who her birth mother is, but she's also questioning, is he telling the truth? Smith is saying that there's a good chance that you're bluffing. And she also is like, listen, even let's say that I did. You honestly think I'm just going to get myself arrested? And Spencer's like, no, 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 no. You can do it anonymously. You can do it where you don't get caught. And at the end, it seems like it's kind of a stalemate. Because Esme doesn't really have anything to worry about as far as time is concerned. Spencer's like, this is a one-time deal, and once it's gone, it's gone. But I'm like, because she can't sit there and try to, I don't know, hire anyone else to get the results that she wants to get from you. But what she says is that, don't test her. Don't test her, because she may decide that getting revenge on Spencer by letting Trina go to jail is more worth it than finding who her mother is. And I'm like, Spencer, you do realize that you are dealing with a psychopath, okay? With a sociopath. This woman does not operate on logic more than lashing out. I'm it's weird. I'm genuinely disappointed that it didn't crash and burn like I theorized. Because in all reality, why would she? She did all that time and all that effort to sit there and frame Trina, and she's just gonna, oh, you know what? I'll sit there and give you the evidence that you need to exonerate Trina. But I just need those test results. I need to know who my mother is. And you're clearly the only person that can tell me. Yep. Okay. It's amazing that Diane that at some point didn't sit there and try to tell Jocelyn to just stick to the script. Don't veer off course. Stick to the script. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what she sits there and try to twist around. This is what you're paying Diane boatloads of money for. But of course, Jocelyn has to sit there and be Jocelyn because, oh, I'm my mother's daughter. So she goes on this tangent about how, Trina's a good person. I've known her since practically birth. And, then she says something along the lines of, Trina wouldn't know how to get, a black market phone. And of course, when the DA talked to Rory had to be honest. And I was sitting there, I was like, bro, listen, I know you like this girl. I do, but I feel like, one, you don't want to lose your career over her. Two, and this is probably the most important part, if he lied, if he did anything else but tell the truth, he may actually wind up hurting Trina's case. So he literally told them why they were there for. And that's when the DA was like, oh, it's funny. I could have swore Josh said that she didn't know how to get a black market phone when y'all were both there. But Diane did her best. And not to sit there and say that Scotty wouldn't have tried to clean up that mess, but it's sort of like what Brock TV said, after losing against Diane, Brock was like, yo, I don't know about, Scotty handling Trina's trial. And luck so have it that Serena gets arrested and Diane has to sit there and come in, tag team in, which again was probably the best thing that could have happened for Trina. Now, as I'm sitting there watching this whole thing play out and the date and everything like that, and in the beginning, I'm not gonna lie, I was really pissed off at her because, like, I felt like she was just coming at her because she needed a win, and I still do feel that way. But sometimes I have to sit there and kind of take a step back and remember that just because me being the viewer, I can clearly see that Trina didn't do anything, but it's her job to sit there and prosecute these people. And she doesn't know Trina. All she knows is, the evidence and the stuff that's presented to her. That Trina was upset about Joss and Cam's relationship. She expressed that. She got drunk. And despite Joss' best efforts of, oh, well, I know that Trina wouldn't do that. I know that Trina was in the room the whole time. She doesn't know that, and neither does the DA. You know, I mean, again, there must have been some sort. Like the way I sit there and try to look at this to not get upset and start calling this DA a bunch of names, a bunch of curse words, is that I don't know if she would sit there and try to prosecute this case if she didn't feel like she had some sort of evidence or some sort of circumstantial evidence at best to sit there and prosecute her. But all in all, I think Diane did the best that she could, and more or less is kind of at a standstill. Now, that does not mean that Curtis should just kind of be like, well, we tried everything, because let's be honest, bro, you sitting there trying at the last minute wasn't really doing anything. And it's actually kind of sad. It's like Portia's like, oh yeah, no, I understand. You really did something. And it's like in reality, like you've been sitting there hanging out and cuddling with her for so long. Why your ass should have been out there sitting there trying to gather evidence and things of that nature. That in some sort of way she should kind of be maybe a little upset with him. So Willow comes to see TJ, and TJ's like, yeah, I did another test, and I'm gonna sit there and tell you what these tests, what these other tests was about. And long story short, he basically said that she has a high white blood cell count. Now, the minute that he said that, the first thing that I thought was that she's going to need a bone marrow transplant. And this is when the whole reveal will come out as far as Nina and Carly, lying her ass up, for months at this point now. But Willow tried to play it down a little bit. And even though she was a little worried when Michael came there, she lied, which I don't really understand why. I don't get why she lied for. It just seems like it's kind of irresponsible. And although he's not going to be upset about it, it's one of those things where it's like, at least give him the information and see how he's going to handle it, as opposed to being like, oh, well, I did it to protect you or something like that. So he gets there. She's like, no, everything is cool and good. And I'm like, you didn't learn your lesson from the first time. When she was fainting, feeling dizzy and things of that nature, Michael found out late in the game. You would think that after he was like, I wish you just would have told me sooner, you know what, maybe I shouldn't keep this from them. Nah, well, what's one more sequence? That's literally what she winds up doing. They go to Brit, they hear the heartbeat, and so at this point, it's just going to give her stronger motivation to continue lying to this man for reasons. Because to be honest, it literally makes no sense to me. But when you gotta sit there and advance the plot, this is pretty much what we do. So Now, before that, he was not there, sparring whatever with Dante, and Cody came in there, and they told, Michael told them both the good news, told them about Britt, and, he was like, yeah, it's a small world or whatever. And long story short, Cody and Dante go in the steam room. I don't think I've actually really been to a steam room, and it just doesn't seem fun to me. But anyway, goes to the steam room, and at this point, Dante is pretty much kind of warning Cody away from Britt because of, his history with her, and, you know, he doesn't think that she's a good person, that she really changed, and yada, 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 yada. But telling somebody or warning somebody away from someone is going to do the exact opposite. So he's fully ready to sit there and take her out on a date, and Britt is not there talking about because apparently she was supposed to be hanging out with Brad, but she double booked herself, and she starts talking about hanging out with Cody, and you know the way she talks about it's like, oh, let me just do it, like it's whatever, and I'm like, bro, nobody's putting a gun in your head. Like seriously, nobody's putting a gun in your head, and I would be so. I don't even think I would be hurt. I think I would just be annoyed. If I met up with somebody and they were just like, all right, whatever, let's just go. I'm just like, no, bro, I could have, I could have Netflix and chill by myself. Like, I didn't need to sit there and deal with this sort of energy. Um, she seems like she's kind of just like going like, all right, whatever, fine, I'll just give it a chance. Um, and of course, the conversation comes up again as far as Brad being like, yo, what does you gotta tell me? Like, but of course, they don't get to it, and I don't think they're really going to get to it until she starts showing signs of her illness. And then she's probably going to say it because she's not going to have a choice. He's probably going to notice something. And he's going to sit there and ask her about it and press her, and eventually she's going to wind up saying something. But I feel like that's going to be months down the line because why not at this point? Oh, and sidebar, Chad Duke comes back as Michael again, so I am really happy about that. I mean, here's the thing. It's nothing against the other actor. It's just, if you've been watching the show for a long time and you've been seeing Chad doing a role as Michael, you're used to his mannerisms, the way he portrays those scenes, and the way that you must kind of intake those scenes. And it's not that he's doing a bad job as far as being Michael. It's just his presence, his personality, it's just not there. Um, so in a lot of ways, I was actually kind of happy that he wasn't really doing too much, like too much of anything crazy, because it was like, when is he coming back again? Yeah, I actually feel like that's about it. I can't think of anything else that really did happen. One second. Yeah, I feel like that's pretty much about it. But before I go, I'm gonna sit there and try to link this in my description box below. DC Sanctuary actually got an interview with Xavier, and I am I am beyond impressed. We've been talking about it from time to time as far as like, interviewing people and who we want to interview. So when I went to his channel and I saw it, I was like, that's crazy. Now, mind you, he was in one of his comment sections when we did our last collab. So, but I'm still just blown away. And definitely check out that interview. Um, I will leave it in the description box below. That is amazing. And with that being said, I'm going to go. I want to thank you for watching. Be safe. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. And I'll see you in the next video.